Hey, it's Sam from Sugar Spun Run, and today we are making a zucchini cake. Every time I share a zucchini recipe, I feel like I say this, but this is my current favorite way to use up zucchini. Maybe that's because of the rich layer of cream cheese frosting on top. Maybe it's the super tender, perfectly sweetened cake. Either way, I really do think you're going to love this one, so let's get started by preheating our oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, next, in a large mixing bowl, you are going to need 2 cups or 250 grams of all-purpose flour. To this, we're going to add a cup or 200 grams of granulated sugar and 3/4 cup of brown sugar, firmly packed brown sugar. It's 150 grams. Now I am using, and I recommend, dark brown sugar. I just prefer the taste of that, but if you only have light brown sugar on hand, that will also work. We'll also add 1½ teaspoons of baking soda and 1/2 teaspoon of table salt. Now whisk everything together. If your brown sugar has any lumps in it, you want to get that broken up. All right, it's looking pretty good. So we're going to slide that out of the way and grab a separate mixing bowl. All right, so here I have 10 tablespoons or 140 grams of melted unsalted butter. It's a little more than your average stick of butter. To this, we're going to add 1 cup or about 226 grams of sour cream. And I'm going to go ahead and whisk these 2 ingredients together. Because the sour cream is a little bit on the cooler end still and the butter is melted, you may notice some curdling or separation. That's not a big deal, but I do want to start getting things combined. That way it doesn't get too difficult to combine these. Next, we're going to add 2 large eggs. And I like to just lightly beat these before I add them into the bowl. We'll also add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Just get everything well incorporated. All right, let's bring back our dry ingredients. And we will go ahead and add our wet ingredients right into the bowl. All right, and let's fold these ingredients together. You want to be gentle at this point when you're combining the wet and dry ingredients because overmixing could make your cake turn out dense or dry or rubbery. So we want to gently fold until the ingredients are about 50% combined. All right, I'm going to pause here and let's talk about our zucchini for a second. So you're going to need 1½ cups of grated zucchini. The way I like to grate mine is to use a food processor because my box grater doesn't have a setting that gets me quite the texture that I want. I don't want the pieces to be too large and discernible, but I also don't want to reduce them to basically a pulp. So what I do is I like to use the shred setting on my food processor, then I switch out the blade for the classic blade, and then just do a couple very brief pulses until I have the texture I want. Now you're going to want to measure out 1½ cups or about 225 grams of zucchini, and then you're going to want to blot the excess moisture from this. The way I do this is I just spread it onto a couple of paper towels, and then I'll take a couple more paper towels and I will just blot the zucchini. And I do this until most of the excess water is removed and the zucchini starts to stick to the paper towels. That's when I'll stop. All right, we'll go ahead and add this in, and we will continue to fold everything together until the batter is completely combined. So it starts out with things seeming a little bit dry, but the zucchini helps things to loosen up a little bit. Make sure you're scraping the sides and bottom of your bowl as you go so that all of the flour mixture is getting nicely incorporated. Today's cake gets baked in a 13×9 baking dish. I am using a metal baking dish. If you use a glass one, your cake is going to need to bake for longer than mine does. That's just something I want you to keep in mind. This is a non-stick pan that I've lightly greased with a little bit of butter. You can grease and flour yours if it isn't non-stick, but I also want to note that I think of this as like a snack cake, so I serve the cake right in the pan I've baked it in. I don't invert it and decorate it or anything like that. Let's spread our batter into our pan. Spread this into a nice even layer. And we will take this over to our 350 degree Fahrenheit preheated oven. It's going to need to bake in the center rack, and in this baking dish, in a metal baking dish, it takes about 27 to 30 minutes. When it's finished baking, the cake will be a nice light golden brown color on top, and a toothpick inserted in the center should come out clean or with a few moist crumbs, but no wet batter. This cake needs to cool completely before you cover it with frosting, otherwise the frosting is going to melt on it. But once it's cooled, we can start prepping our frosting. The frosting comes together really quickly. As I mentioned earlier, it's a cream cheese frosting. So we start with 8 ounces or 226 grams of softened cream cheese. I was gonna say cream cheese frosting, but it's just cream cheese. It's a brick of cream cheese. We're also going to add 1/2 cup or 113 grams of softened unsalted butter. I like to use unsalted butter and add a pinch of salt, but if you only have salted butter on hand, that's fine, just use that, just omit the salt in the recipe. Let's go ahead and cream together the butter and cream cheese until they're smooth, well combined, there are no lumps remaining. Right, once everything is nicely combined here, we can begin gradually adding our powdered sugar. We're using 2½ cups or 315 grams, and I recommend adding just a little bit at a time I try my best to end up not wearing this, so I'll try to be patient. All right, so for some depth of flavor, we're going to add just a half teaspoon of vanilla extract. And again, that salt I mentioned, I just use a pinch. I'd say an 1/8 teaspoon of salt. Stir everything together again. And of course, you want to scrape the sides and bottom of your bowl to make sure everything is nicely incorporated. There's no powdered sugar, there are no lumps of cream cheese hiding in there. And this is a pretty soft frosting by design. It's easy to spread over the cake. Again, your cake must be completely cooled before you add the frosting. You're gonna have a bad time. I mean, to be honest, this cake tastes good with no frosting, but you should really add the frosting. Cream cheese makes everything better. It's just such an easy, flavorful snack cake and a great way to use up a zucchini from your garden. Go ahead and spread this in an even layer. Now, when you're not enjoying this cake, you're going to want to cover it and keep it in the refrigerator. And the refrigerator is actually going to make it a little bit cleaner to slice as well. But we are going to go ahead and dig into this right now because I don't have the kind of patience to chill things. I also cannot cut a straight line to save my life, and I've just accepted that. And that is how you make one of the best things you could possibly make with zucchini. I hope you enjoyed today's recipe. If you try it, please let me know what you think. I always love hearing from you. And I also have a chocolate version of this recipe that I shared last year. You might want to check that out as well if you're a chocolate fan like I am. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. All right. This is a good cake. I'm gonna eat this whole thing. Like, this whole thing. Half teaspoon of, drop everything. I am looking at the zucchini that's on there. This bowl is too small for me. I'm gonna make it work, but I'm gonna end up wearing powdered sugar. I have to change my shirt. I'm doing it, guys. We're close.